सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। So we were looking at the jnana sadhanani, the means for achieving jnanam. Now those were given, okay, you can see Shravana. So here it is given, correct? 181. Shravana Manana Nididhyasana Samadhi Anushtanasya Apekshitatvat, he says. Traditionally it is only Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. But at the time of this author, Yoga Sadhana also was very, very dominant or popular, you can say. So he has also added Samadhi Anushtana here. So in this we saw what is Shravanam. Shravanam means understanding what the Pramana is revealing to you. And the Pramana being Veda in the form of words, how do we know what the Veda is actually revealing? For that we use these 6 lingas or indications. The Shad Linga, Upakrama Upasamharau, Abhyasa Apurvata Phalam, Arthavadopapatti cha Lingam Tatparya Nirnaye. That also was quoted here. So the Upakrama Upasamhara, beginning, end, whatever is repeatedly said, whatever said has to be unique or not known already, and whatever is revealed should have some use, correct? And then also we have to identify what is just said as a praise and what is said with the full meaning, okay, or primarily revealed. And then the supporting logic. So all these things we look into to understand the revelation by the Shruti, what it actually reveals about ourselves. Now those details also we saw. I think we saw up to this Upapatti, this Yukti, that is Upapatti also. The 6th linga is the Upapatti, about which we saw here, up to 190 we saw in the previous class. So now Shravanam is covered here. What is Mananam? See, Mananam generally is about removing all the doubts so that you have clear knowledge, certain clarity is there. So how do we remove the doubts? Because doubts themselves are coming because you are exposed to so many other things, and it may create some doubt whether how can whatever the Shruti says be right. It is saying that everything is one, but all I see is duality, duality, duality everywhere, plurality in fact, not even duality just. So that can still be a problem for some people. So you have to get clarity with reference to whatever the Shruti is revealing so that you have doubtless knowledge. Of course, once you have a certain interest in this Atma Jnanam, you cannot think about anything else, correct? You are listening in the class, even after the class, your mind will naturally go there. You will be still, if something is troubling you, you are always thinking about it, trying to get clarity with reference to that. Or you go to some satsanga with your guru, you ask your doubts. So you have to get clarified, correct? In Tamil, they call it Sandeham Telidal and all that. So basically, some clarity you should have. So here the author is saying, Mananam tu Shrutasya Advitiya Vastunaha Vedanta Anuguna Yuktibihi Anavaratam Anuchintanam, he says. Okay, the Shrutasya means whatever you have heard, correct? What you have heard is that you are the Advitiya Vastu, you are Brahman, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma Aham Asmi. This is the teaching. Now, but there can be some doubts. I am this puny fellow occupying a particular body. How can I be this Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma? Anandam, Vijnanam Anandam Brahma. I am the source of all happiness, but I think I am subjected to sorrow. How can this be possible? If you have any doubts like that, you have to get it clarified. And how do you get it clarified? Vedanta Anuguna Yuktibihi, by using supporting logic, which is in keeping with the Shruti. Okay, whatever is revealed by the Vedanta, Vedanta Anuguna, or it is sometimes also called as Shruti Anugrihita Tarka. Okay, means the Tarka cannot be Shushka Tarka, means dry logic has no basis. Okay, Upanishad itself says Naisha Tarkena Matirapaneya. Modern philosophers are all doing that only. They can, one philosopher will come and negate the other guy. This guy will negate the other guy will negate this guy. Both of them have no basis to come to any conclusion. In fact, there was even an article recently which I read, which is talking about the crisis in modern philosophy because nobody can arrive at anything. So this is what our traditional teachers understood this, correct? They said that Tarkasya, Tarka doesn't have any pratishtana. Tarkasya apratishtana, like that. There is even a Brahma Sutra is there, I think. So just by dry logic, the logic itself should have some basis, correct? From there only you can build your logic. But that basis itself cannot be arrived at by logic. Understand that. That basis should either be pratyaksha, but most of the pratyaksha also is only revealing to you about the objective world. It doesn't also tell you about the reality of the objective world or the reality of the subject itself. And what is the reality of the subject-object duality? These things are not revealed by perception. So only with logic, you cannot go anywhere. The basis for that logic should be whatever is revealed in the Shruti, correct? So the Vedanta Anuguna Yukti is very important. So the basis is that whatever is revealed by the Vedanta is the basis. On that basis, you can use some logic to understand, or even basically logic we use, you can say like this, to only see the defect in whatever others are proposing. Okay, anything other than whatever is revealed by the Shruti, you can see that it is all illogical. So they are all negated. Then you have to finally accept whatever is revealed by the Shruti, because Shruti is anyway a pramana for you. Whatever it reveals is jnanam. So you can settle there, correct? Because whatever is revealed by the Shruti can never be negated by anything else. And any other arguments which are put forth are all, you can prove them to be illogical. In fact, this job, our Purvacharyas and all, they have done very well. At that each period of time, whatever objections were put forward, they have taken care of all of that very well. So this Vedanta Anuguna Yukti Bihi Anavaratam Anuchintanam. Anavaratam means without any stop. Basically, all the time you are only thinking about it. But this again, all the time thinking means don't get psyched. It's not a big effort or anything, because once you are interested in any subject matter, you are anyway thinking about that only. And particularly if you have any doubt and all that, it is like a bug, correct? Once something enters into your ear, if a bug enters into your ear, you cannot think of anything else, correct? Until you get it out of your ear. So it's something like that. So anyway, you'll be thinking about that only, and you have to get clarity. Okay, you have clarity, but still there are problems. Why? Because any knowledge will not transform you automatically. Any insight is initially not powerful enough to overcome habitual tendencies. Understand that. Bhashyakara himself accepts that. If you read the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad Bhashya 147, there is a Vidya Sutra Bhashya. He says that this prarabdha is very powerful. The prarabdha started this body mind sense complex, and the identification with this body mind sense complex is natural, correct? It is there from the time you are born and all that, or it is, if you look at the vasana or samskara, it is there even from previous, we don't know how many births and what kind of births and all that. So identification with this body mind sense complex is strong. That is a habitual tendency, and you have to overcome that. So how do I overcome that? Means you have to keep recollecting this knowledge. The knowledge has to be available to you all the time. Initially, it will not be available. You will fall into whatever thinking patterns to which you are already habituated, and that may even end up being making you sad and things like that, correct? In fact, whenever you feel sad, you should understand that something is wrong in your thinking. As a Vedantin, you can never be sad. Understand that. There's no reason to be sad about anything, in fact. Bhagavan starts the Gita like that, correct? Ashocyan anvashochastvam. You are all, he is telling Arjuna that you are becoming sad about things which should not be grieved for, correct? You are grieving for things which should not be grieved for. Finally, the teaching ends also, ma shuchaha, do not do not be sad, do not grieve. So entire Vedanta is about that only. You overcome Atma with tarati shokam, correct? The one who knows oneself crosses all sorrow. In fact, the Vedantic logic is very powerful. The conventional logic is, I know I am sad, therefore I know my sorrow, therefore I am in sorrow, etc. But Vedantic logic is that since you know your sorrow, you are not sorrow. In fact, you are not in sorrow because you are the one who knows the sorrow also, correct? Any sadness, sorrow, etc. is only a state of mind. You are the conscious being who is even aware of that. You have no connection to that, in fact, in reality. So nothing can really touch you. You are completely asanga. You are already pure. You are not touched by punya, papa, nothing. Even sukha, dukkha, any kind of dvandva can never touch you. Now this knowledge, you have to repeat it in your mind for a period of time. Don't ask me how long. It depends on each and every person, it varies. It depends on where you have started, how you came to Vedanta, what kind of childhood you had, etc. The lesser childhood problems you had, and also as an adult, if you have a certain emotional maturity, calmness of mind, etc. already, then Vedanta is very simple. Even the Nididhyasanam, which is repeating this insight, this knowledge which you have already gained in Shravana Manana, it should not take a long time. Okay. So, Nididhyasanam is required for 99.99% of the people. Okay. Although we say that Shravanam alone is good enough for a Uttama Adhikari like that, I don't think there is any Uttama Adhikari in Kali Yuga at least. So, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, all three are very important. Although this author is talking about a Samadhi, Abhyasa, etc., correct? That also is included in Nididhyasana only, really. Samadhi, etc. Whatever yoga sadhana you do, it is basically helping you to make this knowledge always available to you. Once it is available to you naturally, that is what is called sahaja. Then your self transformation is complete, because the knowledge has to transform the way you look at yourself. When you started the Vedanta as a mumukshu, your knowledge about yourself is, I am confined to a particular body, mind, sense complex. I am a limited being. I am subjected to sorrow, etc. Correct? And I am the son of so and so, etc., or daughter of so and so. So you think you are a particular person, you are a particular individual with a certain individuality. And that is like sahaja for you, correct? Even if I wake you up at night from deep sleep and ask you, who are you? You are going to say, I am so and so. You are only going to give your biodata or resume. So your identification with your individuality is complete when you start. But then it has to totally transform. That aham satyam jnanam anantam brahma, that should be your natural identity, not so and so Jai Shankar or some particular individual, etc. That is all incidental. Any individuality also comes and goes. Individuality is there only in waking, really, correct? It is only one part of my overall experience. In dream, I may not be Jai Shankar or somebody. I may not even take a human body. I don't know. So dream can be totally some other identity you are taking. In deep sleep, there is nothing. There is no individuality, nothing. So from this only, it's very easy to know that this individuality also is something which is coming and going. It's only in waking, you have a strong identity with that, which is again only avidya, which is all only ignorance. So that identity has to go away. And just you have to understand yourself as Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma. So keep repeating that Aham Brahmasmi. So that's what is said here beautifully. He says Vijatiya Dehadi Pratyaya Rahita. So Dehadi Pratyaya means what? Taking oneself as body. Correct? I am tall, I am fat, I am dark, etc. Body based identification of self. Then prana based identification of self. I am thirsty, I am hungry. Mind based identification of self. I am emotional, I am angry, I am I am sorrowful, etc. Buddhi based identification also. Correct? I am knowledgeable, I am ignorant, I am idiot, I am stupid, whatever. Then even identification as a bhokta. I am the enjoyer, I am sukhi, dukhi. All these identifications are all wrong identification only, because you are identifying with whatever is an object of your knowledge. So the basic Vedantic teaching is very, very simple, correct? Whatever I see is not I. Hold on to that. Whatever I see is not I. That's it. So I am simply only a conscious being. That is very simple, correct? And there is no second conscious being. So I am also the limitless conscious being, because I am the conscious being who is manifesting as awareness in each and every sentient being. That conscious being is myself. And any happiness anybody enjoys also cannot come from anywhere else. I am the only source of all happiness also. So I am Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Anandam. All this is I am. I am this. Hold on to that. That's all. That is the knowledge you have to hold on to. Holding on to that knowledge instead of thinking that I am this body, mind, sense complex. Right? Vijatiya Dehadi Pratyaya is the thought that I am my identification with body, etc. is the Vijatiya thought, because according to the Vedantic knowledge, that is all wrong knowledge, correct? You don't want to hold on to that. Okay. So Vijatiya means basically whatever. See, whenever we talk about dhyana or nididhyasana, etc., you are deciding already to only make your mind think in a particular direction or particular thought or particular subject matter, let us say, correct? So anything other than that subject matter is Vijatiya. Now, what is the subject matter for a Vedantin? That Aham Advitiyam Brahma. Satyam Jnanam Anandam Anandam Brahma Aham Asmi. This is what is our Sajatiya Pratyaya. Means this is the Pratyaya, this is the what I want my mind to focus on. Anything other than that, like a thought that I am this body or mind or prana or whatever, that is all Vijatiya. That is all not, that is not what I want to think or focus on. So vijatiya dehadi pratyaya rahita. Rahita means it should not be there, correct? So you do not want to think about yourself as this body mind sense complex. And what do you want to focus on? Advitiya vastu sajatiya pratyaya pravahaha. So you want to have a flow of thought which is only focusing on your reality as the Advitiya Vastu, Advitiyam Brahma, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Anandam Brahma. That alone is the thought. The flow of thought is only focusing on that. So by doing this only, you make sure that this knowledge is always available to you. Whenever required, it has to be available, correct? If it is not available, then your habitual thinking tendency will lead you to dukkha only. Understand that. Shoka will be there. So as a Vedantin, whenever there is shoka, understand that you require nididhyasanam. You can never have any shoka really. In fact, what is there to be sad about? This whole world doesn't really count anyway. Your individuality also doesn't count. Only if you take your individuality seriously, you can be in any kind of shoka. Understand that. But the very individuality is incidental, really. It's very simple. So whatever is an incidental identity, you are holding on to that unnecessarily and feeling sad, etc. It's all complete ignorance only. So once you are out of that, just you have to have certain discipline of your mind. You create a certain flow of thoughts which are only focusing on your reality as the Advitiya Vastu. No, that is nididhyasanam or dhyanam, even the same thing, correct? Atmanyeva vasham nayetanal. Bhagavan also says in the 6th chapter, Dhyana Yoga, beautifully Bhagavan is talking about goading your mind, you can say, towards this the reality of oneself. Atmanyeva vasham nayet, he says. So you goad your mind, you lead your mind towards the reality of yourself. And then you understand Samvidya Dukkha Sanyoga Vyogam Yoga Samjnitam and all. He gives a definition of yoga also in the 6th chapter there. So by knowing yourself, what do you achieve? Dukkha Sanyoga Vyogam, he says beautifully. So previously you thought you are connected somehow to dukkha, but that connection itself is broken. You are asanga, you are not connected to anything. In fact, nothing really touches you because everything else is of a different order of reality. In fact, they can never touch you. You are aprameyaha, you are achedyaha, correct? You can never be cut, you cannot be dried, you cannot be touched by any panchabhutas themselves. No devata can touch you. So that is your reality. So where can there be any dukkha and all that? Everything is gone. Vidyate hridaya grantihi siddhante sarva samshayam shiyante chasya karmani tasmin drishte paravare, and all. Upanishad also says the same thing. Rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. Bhagavan also says this even in the 2nd chapter. So these are all some things we have to just focus on. Keep focusing on the Vedantic teaching. In fact, initially you have to keep some time for this. Sit and maybe close your eyes and be in a comfortable posture, and then you can keep recollecting this jnana. But over a period of time, all this happens, correct? What else can you think of, in fact? The mind itself is going to go towards only this teaching. And after some time, in fact, it is the opposite. So your identity as Brahman, once it becomes sahaja, then the mind is free to think whatever it wants. Mind is just an instrument, correct? Mind is, again, it's an instrument. You can use the mind. There is no problem in thinking itself. The wrong thinking is the problem. So mind can then be used. It doesn't have any reality. The states of mind also is not going to affect you in any way. So that's how this nididhyasanam anyway is. It has to lead you to that state, we can say. That is the Jivan Mukti we talk about. That is the Jnana Phalam. The freedom you can enjoy then. That is the freedom of a Jivan Mukta. You are free enough to be as you are. You don't require anything to be happy. Correct? Your happiness is not dependent on any object or any activity or any particular situation. It doesn't depend on how the world is, etc. Atmanyeva Atmana Tushtaha and all that. This is all said even in the Shastra, correct? Gita also says that. So that is the freedom. Once you enjoy that freedom, then Pahunj Gaya Mahatma, Pujya Swamiji used to say. So you have reached that. You have reached Swaswarupe Avasthanam. You have reached, you are now established in your own nature, in your Swarupa. So that is what is required. So that is Nididhyasanam. But now this author also has introduced Samadhi. So Samadhi, whatever abhyasa, whatever practice you do, whatever sadhana you do towards Samadhi and all, is actually should be included in Nididhyasanam only. And so here he is talking about two types of Samadhi. Samadhi dvidaha, savikalpaha, nirvikalpascheti. So there is a savikalpa samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi. These terminologies of savikalpa, nirvikalpa are again purely Vedantic terminologies. If you read the Yoga Sutra, Patanjali does not even use this savikalpa, nirvikalpa word, I think. He uses samprajnata, asamprajnata and all that. And some people say that savikalpa and samprajnata are equivalent, nirvikalpa and asamprajnata are equivalent. But again, there are differences of opinions in all that. So understand this savikalpa samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi itself is a Vedantin terminology, Vedantin's idea about samadhi. And as Vedantins, we actually reject the Yoga Darshana, Chitta Vritti Nirodha, the stopping of all the mental activity, all the mental vrittis, correct? Removal of all the mental vrittis and stilling the mind itself is not accepted as a moksha sadhana by itself. Understand that. The Vedanta Janita Jnana is important for us. That is why we first talk about Shravana Manana. Shravana Manana has to have given you a certain knowledge about yourself. Nididhyasana or Yoga Sadhana and all are only there to make that Jnanam strong and make it available to you all the time. Okay, that is how we accept the Yoga Sadhana. We are not against Yoga Sadhana or anything. Whoever is interested to pursue all this Samadhi, you can go ahead and do that. There is no problem. So, but basically Nididhyasanam is what is required, that you focus on this knowledge till it becomes natural to you. That is what is required. In the process, you achieve some savikalpa samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi, etc. You do yoga sadhana, all that is fine. So, here he is also now defining what is this savikalpaka samadhi. So, tatra savikalpakaha nama jnatru jnanadi vikalpa laya anapekshayat. Sorry. Yeah. Jnatru jnanadi vikalpa laya anapekshayat. Sorry, anapekshaya advitiya vastuni tadakarakarita akarakaritayas chitta vrittehe avasthanam. Okay. So, what he says is, Jnatrik Jnanadi Vikalpa, means Vikalpa means you can say division, or differentiation, separation, something. So normally when any mental activity is taking place, there is the division or difference between knower and known, correct? Knower, known, and then there is also a mental vritti, we call it, that is the jnanam, the knowledge. So knower, known, and knowledge, triputi, we say this differentiation is there. Knower and known, otherwise you can say experiencer and experienced, experiencer and experienced, knower, known, subject, object, all these divisions are there. Those divisions do not vanish. Laya anapekshaya is what he is saying. So even though you have a certain, you have quietened your mind, you are only focusing on yourself as Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, that Advitiyam Brahma alone is your Swarupa, your mind is focused on that, but still the differentiation between the knower and known. I am the knower of the fact that I am this Advitiya Vastu. That is there, correct? So tad akara karitayas chitta vrittehe means what? That you have a chitta vritti that aham brahmasmi, and you know that so that knowledge that I am Brahman, there is a certain vikalpa in that, is they are saying that division is still there. In fact, that is good enough. Savikalpa samadhi is what you can actually, you can aim for. Nirvikalpa samadhi, as they say, has to happen. It is like sleep. You cannot willfully sleep, correct? You can only prepare for sleep. You can prepare everything. You can prepare your bed. You can put your AC at the right temperature. You can make sure that there is no noise. Or some people even nowadays they have a machine to create some indistinguishable noise. They say that in fact, such noise helps you to sleep better. So I went to US recently, and in Dallas, in one house where I stayed, they have this machine, in fact, which makes some kind of a noise. Of course, I am not bothered by any noise anyway. But even whether with that noise or not, I sleep well is a different thing. But there is a concept like that also now. Whatever it is, so you can prepare yourself to sleep, but sleep has to happen, correct? Like that, you cannot consciously sleep. So the conscious effort can only be made for Savikalpa Samadhi. So you consciously bring back your mind, even if your mind is going out. That is the nature of mind. Understand that mind, the nature of mind is to hop on, jump on associated things. It keeps on jumping. So it is a big effort initially to actually only focus on one particular subject matter or whatever, correct? That flow, which we talked about already. And if that flow is actually constant, means that is Savikalpa Samadhi itself. And that much only you can put effort into. Understand that. Afterwards, whatever happens has to happen. So when you are actually knowing, you have a certain knowledge that I am thinking about this only, that is Savikalpa Samadhi. That still there is a certain quietude, there is a laya, there is a certain absorption. Laya means what? You are absorbed. Your mind is absorbed into a certain flow of thought alone, and it's not getting distracted from there, means that is Savikalpa Samadhi. Some kind of a laya all of us experience, correct? Even a good music can produce a certain laya, or even some trance and all that, correct? You even this bhajana and all, you have a certain bhajan music, and it's some nama is you keep repeating it, and then it goes into a high crescendo and all that. Then your mind, it goes into a certain trance, certain laya, certain absorption into that nama itself. All that is not an alien experience. Most of us understand that. So that's what is talked about here. So the Advitiya Vastuni, Tad Akarita Karitayaha means what? That basically your mind has taken the form of that Advitiyam Brahma, in the sense that Aham Brahmasmi, that is the form of your mind. The mind has taken that thought form, and that form is there in a certain flow without any distractions, without any other thought, vijatiya thought not being there. That is the savikalpa samadhi. So the chitta vritti has settled there. So chitta vrittehe avasthanam means what? It has settled onto a particular thought flow without any distraction. That means you have got absorbed into that. That is the laya which is talking about here. But the Nyatrik Jnana, the Bheda is still there, or Vikalpa is there. Therefore, that is called Savikalpakaha. And this is what is in the Ashtanga Yoga also. There is Samadhi is one of the Anga. So that is Savikalpa Samadhi actually. The Nirvikalpa Samadhi or Asamprajnata Samadhi as per the yogic terminology is the Angi, we say. So all these Angas have to lead you to the Angi. So the Ashtanga, Yamanimadi, in that itself Samadhi is there. But that Samadhi is basically Samprajnata Samadhi only. And once you achieve that Samprajnata Samadhi with all your effort, the Asamprajnata Samadhi or the equivalent Nirvikalpa Samadhi has to happen. It has to happen. So, in fact, he is even giving an analogy for you to understand this Savikalpa Samadhi here. Tada Mrinmaya Gajadi Bhane Api Mridbhana Mridbhranavate Dvaita Bhane Api Advaitam Vastu Bhasate. This is the Savikalpa Samadhi, he says. Savikalpaka Samadhi means what? See, samsara itself is what? It is seeing something which is not there, correct? So a child can look at an elephant sculpture. Elephant sculpture, assuming that you have made an elephant sculpture out of clay. In reality, it is only clay, mrit, correct? So Mrinmaya Gajadi means what here? It is an elephant made out of mud. So there is a mud elephant. Now the Jnani sees the mud elephant, but Jnani's focus is only on the mud. Jnani knows that elephant is no elephant really. But a child may see it only as an elephant. That is the samsari, in fact. In fact, this actual analogy is used by Tirumular in Tirumandiram. There is a Tamil text called Tirumandiram where there is a beautiful verses there. Where Tirumular says, Marattai maraitadu mamada yanai. Marattil maraindadu mamada yanai. Parattai maraitadu parmudal bhutam. Parattil maraindadu parmudal bhutam. So what does he say? He says, Marattai maraitadu mamada yanai means there is a ferocious elephant. Okay, mad elephant. But it is really an elephant made up of wood, correct? But if you see it as a ferocious elephant, then that elephant name and form has covered the wood, which is the reality, correct? So Marattai Maraitadu Mamadayane. Mamadayane means it is ferocious elephant, but that ferocious elephant has covered the reality that it is only wood. It has covered the wood. But once you see it as wood, what happens? Marattil maraindadu Mamadayane. He says that ferocious mad elephant has vanished into the wood. Once you see the reality as wood, it has vanished into the wood. Now for Savikalpaka Samadhi, this author is saying you are still seeing the elephant form and wood also. That is Savikalpaka Samadhi. But you know that elephant is not really an elephant. It's only a name and form. It has no reality, etc. But you are seeing both the elephant form and the reality of the wood. Means you are having Dvaita perception, but you know that Advaitam alone is Satyam. So here he is saying Gajadi Bhane api Mridbhanavate. Here he is talking about clay. Tirumular is talking about wood. And then Tirumular also talks about the actual Darshtantika. The analogy is given, but what is the corresponding teaching? Means Parattai Maraitadu Parmudal Bhutam, he says. Param Brahma or Parashiva for Tirumular, because he was a Shaivite, is covered by Parmudal Bhutam means what? all this Panchabhutas, correct? Mahabhutas are the ones which are covering the reality of Brahman. All the elements and elementals are appearing as this variegated world of plurality, and they have covered the Advitiyam Vastu as though. But once you see the Vastu, they all vanish into the Vastu only. Parattil maraindade par mudal bhutam. So you see everywhere there is only one Advayam Brahma alone is there, Advitiya Vastu alone is there. Then this entire world of subject-object division vanishes into that alone. So that is the teaching. And here, Mrit Bhanavat Dvaita Bhane api Advaitam Vastu Bhasate. Even though you perceive Dvaita, you understand that only Advayam Vastu alone is really shining as subject-object. The very reality of the subject-object is nothing but Advayam Brahma Aham Asmi, which is Aham in fact, which is myself. So I am the one who transcends the subject-object duality, space-time, etc. I am the conscious being who transcends all that, and I exist as I am. And I understand that whether the Dvaita is perceived or not is actually immaterial really. Okay. So that's why I say Savikalpaka Samadhi itself is good enough. And that is what you can make effort also towards. Nirvikalpaka Samadhi has to happen. In Nirvikalpaka Samadhi, there is no bhanam of even all this Mrit and elephant also. Only Mrit alone is there, you have to take. So that is fine. In fact, he is now quoting Upadesha Sahasri to talk about this Swarupa. So Advaitam Vastu Bhasate means how does it shine then? So Taduktam Drishi Swarupam Gaganopamam Param Sakrit Vibhatam Tu Ajam Ekam Aksharam Alepakam Sarvagatam Yad Advayam Tadeva Cha Aham Satatam Vimuktam Om. So Ankaracharya beautifully says, what is he saying? What is your reality? Drishi Swarupam. I am the nature, the very nature of the seer. I am of the nature of the seer. I am the seer of sight. In fact, this is how Bhashyakara talks about oneself. If you take the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad Bhashya, everywhere how does he teach the Swarupa of the Atma? Atma is even the seer of the sight. Not only seer of the sight, hearer of the hearing, thinker of the thought, etc. Like that. Correct? This is there in Kena Upanishad also. This is there in Brihadaranyaka also. In fact, that is how Atma can be even referred to, because Atma is not an object. It cannot be taught like any other object. Atma is the very Swarupa of the subject. Correct? So it is the very nature of your subject as a conscious being. That is your Swarupa, that is your nature. Drishi Swarupam. And what Gaganopamam? It is also very subtle. It has no divisions. It is like space in that sense that space is there everywhere. All objects are in space. You may think that space is divided by all these objects, but in reality, space is not touched or divided or polluted or anything, correct? Atmosphere can be polluted, but space cannot be touched by anything. It is a subtle thing. And Atma is even subtler than that. Gaganopamam, Param. So it transcends everything. It is Param. It is the ultimate reality. Sakrit Vibhatam, it is always conscious. It is always shining. It is the only thing which shines really. Everything else shines after this Atma. Then Ajam, unborn. It is the uncast cause, you can say. Ekam, it is the only thing which is there, correct? Ekam eva advitiyam. Aksharam, it never changes. It never declines. It can never decline. That's why it is Satyam, correct? Yad rupena yan nishchitam bhavati, tad rupena navyabhicharati iti Satyam. Like that Bhashyakara defines. Once you have ascertained something as this, it never changes from that. That is Satyam, that is Aksharam, unchanging reality. In fact, it is the only thing which is the invariable in every cognition, correct? As consciousness is, that is yourself, that is Atma, that is Brahman, that is Aksharam. Alepakam, not touched by anything else, because everything else is of a different order of reality. Like the waker can never be touched by anything in dream world, correct? Although the whole dream world is there. Like this entire waking world also is there. But none of this is of the same order of reality. None of this can touch one's Atma. It is Alepakam, Sarvagatam. It pervades everything also, because it is the one which gives existence to everything. The very existence is not there for the names and forms. They are all only dependent on this Atma for their very existence. So Sarvagatam, Advayam, Yad Advayam, that which is non-dual. It is not only one, but it is non-dual. Tadeva cha aham, that is me. This is the thought which is there in Savikalpaka Samadhi. What the author is trying to say is this is the kind of thought which is there in an undistracted flow. Correct? Satatam Vimuktam, I am always free, in fact. Now that is my Swarupa. So like this, whatever is said in the Upadesha Sahasri, this kind of flow of thought is there, and you are absorbed in that without any other thought disturbing it. That is what is Savikalpaka Samadhi. And what is Nirvikalpaka Samadhi then? Nirvikalpakastu Nyatrik Jnanadi Vikalpa Laya Apekshya. So the other one is Laya Anapekshya. Here this is Laya Apeksha. Means Nyatrik Jnanadi Laya has happened. Means like even in sleep also the Nyatrik Jnana Bheda is not there. Correct? Everything is resolved, but I am there as a conscious being. But what is the difference between sleep and Nirvikalpaka Samadhi? Means in sleep you are ignorant. In Nirvikalpaka Samadhi, that Savikalpaka Samadhi flow of thought only leads you into Nirvikalpaka. Means that you are in Nirvikalpaka Samadhi, you are there with that knowledge. That is the main difference. So Nyatrik Jnanadi Vikalpa Laya Apekshya Advitiya Vastuni Tad Akara Karitayas Chitta Vrittehe Atitaram Eki Bhavena Avasthanam. So your mind is already in Savikalpaka Samadhi. Mind is only of the form of this Brahman, and then even that difference of knower and known, etc., also vanishes at that point. That means your mind is only of the form of this Advaya Vastu. Eki Bhava is there, and that is the Nirvikalpaka Samadhi. And this has to happen, as I said, it is not something you cannot consciously be in Nirvikalpaka Samadhi. It has to happen, and it happens also. With sufficient practice, it will happen. So that is the Nirvikalpaka Samadhi, about which many people have also talked about. But the only problem is some people talk about as though this Nirvikalpaka Samadhi is a necessity. But I don't think, even my Guruji also, we don't think it is a necessity or anything. Savikalpaka Samadhi is what you should aim for. Even that you should aim for till this Jnanam becomes Sahaja, natural to you. Till the time your self-transformation is complete, you have to put in some effort with reference to that. But that's all. If Nirvikalpaka Samadhi happens on the way, that is fine. Okay. And Nirvikalpaka Samadhi is praised a lot also, because it is supposed to free you from all this, all the whatever habitual tendencies you have. Okay. So it helps in that. So that's what I think. Then he goes into, okay, he is giving an analogy for this Nirvikalpaka Samadhi also here. Tadatu Jalakara Karita Lavana Anavabhasena. So previously he gave the this analogy of this clay elephant. Now he is giving the analogy of the salt getting dissolved in water. Correct? Jalakara karita lavana anavabhasena means once you have put the salt into the jala and you have mixed it, then it doesn't appear separately, correct? Like that. So that becomes jala matra avabhasavat. Once you have mixed the salt into the water, it still looks only like water. Similarly, advitiya vastuakara karita chitta vritti anavabhasena advitiya vastu matram avabhasate. So in the nirvikalpaka samadhi, similarly, your mind has merged as though into this advitiya vastu, the reality, and that alone is shining. There is no separate, knower, known, all these distinctions there. So this is the analogy given for you to understand the nirvikalpaka samadhi. And further he even says what is the difference. You should not confuse nirvikalpaka samadhi with sushupti. He even talks about that next, all that we will see next week. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.